the king locks up Snoozer in the jail.
I'm going to lock you in my jail.
Oh no, how does Snoozer get out of jail? Does somebody come help him?
No! Snoozer uses his rocket boosters to fly out of the jail. Then he uses his trunk to blow the bad knights into the air and down into the mud.
He's the Snoozer. Ah!
Very impressive work, Snoozer.
But that's not all. Then the Gold King says Snoozer should be king.
Snoozer should be king. Aye. Aye?
And Snoozer becomes the king of all of the people.
Oh my goodness, great work, Snoozer. What happens to Checkers? Does he become your servant?
Of course not. Checkers is the royal inventor.
Royal inventor. Well, I guess I can't complain with that.
Hey, Checkers, what happened to your watch?
My watch? Oh my gosh, you're right, Snoozer. Looks like my watch broke off. At least the top part did. There it is. Yeah, that little piece on the top broke. I guess I'm gonna have to print out another watch.
What? You can't print a watch, silly Checkers. That watch isn't made of paper.
Snoozer, I'm talking about 3D printing. I'm gonna 3D print the watch.
Checkers, you are confusing my mind.
Well, don't worry, Snoozer. You'll understand soon enough because we're going to a place to learn all about 3D printing on today's Reading Road Trip. Seatbelt.
Check. Backpack?
Check, check. All right, Snoozer. Ascending in 3, 2, 1. And we're off. Autopilot activated.
So where are we going today?
No need for hints today, Snoozer. We are going to a place that designs and prints using 3D printers.
But what are 3D printers?
Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit, Snoozer. We have a lot of things planned. But whenever you want to learn something new, a great thing to do is to check out books and read. And we're going to be doing that today. But another thing to do is to get some hands-on experience. And we might be getting some of that today too. Let me pull up the map. We are headed for Rainbow Way. Once we cross through, we'll be right at our destination, Tresca Design. Along the way, we are going to do a craft with Mrs. Hamilton.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy!
Oh, hey! Here come the books! Let's check out a few.
What'd we get this time?
Here you go, Snoozer.
3D Printing and Maker Lab for Kids by Eldred Takiria. And How to Code a Sandcastle by Josh Funk.
Well, great! Those are both great books that will teach us about robotics and 3D printing. But since we're talking about 3D printing, let's start with that book, 3D Printing and Maker Lab for Kids. Now, this is a great nonfiction book to give us an introduction to 3D printing. Right off the bat, the book explains how the process of 3D printing is essentially a manufacturing technology to create objects in 3 dimensions, as opposed to 2 dimensions, like a flat piece of paper. And 3D printing used to be a really expensive technology back when it was first used in the early 1980s. But over time, the process has become more accessible to the general public. And now, lots of people have access to them. Some libraries have 3D printers for people to use in the library building.
Oh, wow! That is coolio!
Yes, it's very cool, Snoozer, and we're going to a place to see how they actually do it. But let's talk a little bit more about the book. It takes us through the process of where the object is designed on a computer program. When first learning how to use 3D printers, simple shapes are a good way to start. But skilled designers can print just about anything. But the book gives instructions of how to set up shapes you want to print, and gives you detailed instructions so you truly learn the process, rather than just memorizing the instructions. Just like a book about how to play the piano or another skill, as we keep reading, the book has more complex labs for us to do. We start learning how to create useful things like coat hooks and pens. This book is a great introduction to 3D printing and a valuable tool for those interested in the skill set. But hey, while we're talking about 3D printing, I have a pretty good idea about a craft we can do today with Mrs. Hamilton.
Yay! I love doing crafts. That's a good idea.
Absolutely, Snoozer. But whenever you're doing 3D printing, the first thing you have to know is what you're printing. And the way to do that is to come up with an idea in your head and then draw it out. Because if you draw it out, you can give it to a designer and then they can come up with how to make it into a 3D object. So in our case, we want it to be a new checkers watch, right? So that means the first thing we should do is draw what we want the new checkers watch to look like.
Okay.
All right, well, let's bring on your teacher, Mrs. Hamilton, right now, and you and Mrs. Hamilton are going to draw out the new checkers watch.
Hi, Snoozer. Well, it looks like you need to design a new watch. So you're gonna need this sheet here. So this is the top part of Checkers watch, and here is the bottom part. So let's start by coloring the letter C. The only thing we're gonna need today are some scissors and some crayons. Now I know Checkers watch has a big blue C on it. So let's color that. Okay, now let's do the top. Now I'm pretty sure you're gonna want yours to look kind of like Checkers' old watch. So there was a big black circle here. Okay, and then I'm gonna put a line not through the middle, but right about there. Okay, now we need some buttons. All right, time to cut out. Okay, I've got my two pieces. So Checkers watch kind of opens up like this. So I'm gonna staple it right at the top. Okay. And I don't have my tape here. I don't know if it would fit on my wrist like a real watch, but I think it would if I wrapped it around and then added a piece of tape. So you would need to have an adult person help you. And then I'm gonna have my very own Checkers watch. How does yours look?
Here it is. I even colored the top. I made it gray to match the old one.
Oh, that is just awesome. All right, well, I'll see you next time. Bye.
If you would like to email Checkers and Snoozer, send your emails to checkers@checkerslibrarytv.com. We always look forward to hearing from you.
Here it is, Checkers. I did the inside and the outside.
Wow, that's awesome, Snoozer. Great work. Oh my gosh, you did such a good job. Well, now what we're going to do is take that picture and put it into our computer, and then Zot the robot is going to get to work in creating our 3D object. Zot is going to be doing the work of what professional designers can do in a computer. They take a drawing and then they convert it into a 3D rendering, And that rendering is then printed out using plastic, and that is what the 3D printer is going to do for us.
Oh boy! Now I'm excited for my drawing to be printed!
Yep, but while we're waiting for Zot to create that file, what we want to do now is talk about our second book. And that one is How to Code a Sandcastle. And this is a fictional story for younger readers, but it is about a real technology called coding, which is a process where you communicate to tell a computer or a robot what you want it to do. Sort of like how a train runs on a track, a coder is creating a path for the computer to follow. And this book is a nice way to get kids excited about coding. It follows a girl named Pearl who wants to build a sandcastle on the last day of summer. All summer long, she attempted to make sandcastles, but every time she tried, something got in the way. From flying saucers to sharks. So she brought some help this time, a robot to do it for her. But she needs to tell the robot what to do, which seems easy, but there are obstacles in the way. So Pearl has to problem solve and direct the robot where to go. It takes some practice, but Pearl starts to get better and better. If you like to solve problems, coding may be something for you. The book also teaches some basics of coding terminology, the words we will come across when we code, like sequences and loops. And one of the great things Pearl learns is that once a robot knows what to do, it can do it again and again and again. That's one of the reasons robots are so helpful. In the back of the book, the terms are there again for us to learn more about. What a great way to be introduced into coding.
Wowie wow wow! I like to problem solve, and I already am a robot. So I can code myself. Wait a minute. Checkers, I think I'm having an existential crisis.
1 second, Snoozer. It looks like Zot finished the file.
Oh, I see it. Wowie! There it is. So how do we get it out of here?
Well, we've sent it over to Tresca. It's actually printing right now. And when we get there, it will still be printing. Because the process takes some time. Snoozer! We're at the rainbow! Alright, well once we cross through, we'll be at our destination. But if we want to cross through safely, we need to be wearing our safety suits.
Going through.
Snoozer, changing in 3, 2, 1.
Going through the rainbow. And now it's time for
The joke of the week. I read a book last night on anti-gravity. It was really hard to put down. All gravity jokes.
So what do you guys do at Tresca Design here?
Well, what we do here is we design products and we prototype them using 3D printing.
So you have 3D printed objects all across this table here, right?
I do.
Alright, so could you explain what these are for Snoozer here?
Sure, so we have a couple landmarks here. So this is the Burj Khalifa Tower. This is the Taj Mahal. And then this right here is actually a 3D printed map of Yellowstone National Park.
Now, did you paint that?
No, so in the plastic that we use for our 3D printing, we can buy it so that it changes color as you're printing. So this happened naturally as we were using the printer.
Wow. So that entire thing came out of a printer?
This entire thing came out of a printer.
That's amazing. Awesome. So how does this process work of printing an object?
Well, it all starts with a roll of plastic here, and it's this little plastic wire, and you feed that through what we call a hot end, and that traces a pattern. And when you trace the pattern multiple times, you end up with an object like this.
So basically, it's going to stack up one on top of the other on top of the other?
That's exactly right.
How long did it take to print something like this out?
That took 10 hours to print, and probably had about 200 layers to it. So
Wow.
the layers are very small, almost as thin as a piece of paper.
This is unbelievable. But wait a minute. Something like this isn't something that you would actually build or show someone. So what would be the point of having something like this?
Sure, so 3D printing can actually be a great communication tool. So to someone that isn't good at reading maps or doesn't know how to read a map, if you want to describe to them something about this mountain right over here, you can 3D print it and show it to them and actually point to it instead of trying to look at a map.
So it's great for people to learn in different ways.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, it's amazing that the technology isn't just for one thing. You know, people can use it and explore different things with it.
That's right.
What's your favorite thing about 3D printing?
My favorite thing about 3D printing is that you can make almost anything with it. You can think about this cool water bottle or this cool gadget, and you can make it happen in just a couple hours.
This place is awesome!
What a great place to visit.
Yes! I had no idea we could print out real things!
And I love how Dan said his favorite thing about 3D printing was having an idea in his head and making it real. Because more and more children are going to have access to 3D printers and they'll be able to do the same thing. And that is really exciting. But it all starts with reading, learning, and then getting some hands-on experience. And we're going to be getting some more experience and reading some more books pretty soon, because pretty soon we're going to be going on another very exciting reading road trip.
Stay tuned as we check in with the library.
Checkers TV is brought to you today by Morrisson-Reeves Library. You can find a new Checkers TV episode each Tuesday. We invite you to come visit us at Morrisson-Reeves Library. We have in-person, virtual, and grab-and-go programs made just for you. Our monthly calendar is color-coded by age and icon-coded by format. Families enjoy music, movement, and stories on Thursdays. Get your weekly activity bag at the library. Preschoolers learn with alphabet adventures on Wednesdays. Your grab-and-go kit lasts for the entire year. New this fall is bilingual story time in English and en Espanol on Mondays. Children have DIY fun with weekly grab-and-go bags. Looking to make a unique artistic creation? Register for art in the afternoon. Make sure you look for Checkers star Snoozer when you come to the library. Visit Morrisson-Reeves Library Youth Services either in person or virtually for great books, programs, and much more.